Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys. It's been a long frickin' day. I'm recording this at 15 minutes to midnight California time, which means I'm not going to get it out on time. I'm recording it on time, but not by a long shot is it going to be done. This is like the fourth time I've recorded the intro part. It was a hard day. I don't want to talk about it at all. It was a hard day. One good thing happened. A few weird things happened. But the good thing that happened was about a month ago, I had downloaded an app that sounded amazing called Star Nations. And it's a group, it's people who want to be part of the Lightworker community and be able to find each other, talk to each other, and share experiences because, you guys were all going through this crazy time. All of humanity is ascending and awakening, and everyone at once is having a spiritual awakening. Some people aren't, but they're not going to be with us much longer. I mean, really. Other than that, everyone else is struggling and they're confused and they're wanting to know, what's going on. And so this is like a great idea. It's a place for everyone to come together and talk and discuss everything under the sun and everything under the moon, including the sun and the moon and the earth, Mother Earth Gaia. So it's interesting. I got on the app today, and this is a weird thing, though. It's invitation only, and it's by invitation only, and they say on the app that it takes them 1 week to get back to you, on average. So after you go ahead and sign up, and you go through a 10-minute questionnaire, which is tedious. Like, some of the questions are very interesting, though. Not all of it's tedious, but there's like 4 questions about the military, and I'm like, what the hell is that about, military? Who even thinks about that? I mean, for real, and I thought that they said, but another thing is, they said, if you are right for our group, you will get an invitation to join, and you can't even be a part of the community unless they approve of you. I thought, well, maybe might possibly be a good thing, depending, I suppose. But then the military questions got me thinking, and they had asked me they put on the questionnaire one question, and they said, do you believe that all nations should drop their military immediately in order to better the planet? And I said, no. And so I didn't hear back for a week or 2 or 3 or 4. I wrote them a letter, an email a week ago. I'm like, so, I don't know why you had so many questions about the military and why you're overly concerned about, yes, I'm concerned about war on the planet. Who isn't, right? Obviously, no one wants war. Nobody wants any of that. But you have to understand and consider that most countries have a military that does more than warmongers, since most countries are not at war. I mean, there's almost 200 countries or something on the planet, and right now maybe 20 of them are at war. It means 180, countries are not at war. But they all have a military, except for Costa Rica. I think maybe one other country does not have a military. But, I don't know, when there's a crisis in a country, the military will race to aid the people in need. A couple years ago, in Chiclayo, Peru, there was a flash flood that came through the town, killed a bunch of people, literally swept people away. Out of nowhere, it rained and rained and rained and rained, and it would rain so much that part of the earth gave way because all the streets there were like dirt anyway. It's a very small town. My good friend Kel is from there, and he said it was terrible. He said he went up after that it was mostly cleaned up, but I mean, everyone's house was flooded and filled with dirt, and there were dead animals and dead people, and the military went in. They helped clean up the town. They buried the dead. They brought supplies to the people, the victims of the flood, who lost their homes. Do I think that countries need a military? Haha, you bet your sweet bippy they do. Especially when the military is there to aid the people when there is an emergency. When there is a national crisis, we need a military. We don't need war. We don't need to call someone our enemy and kill them. I mean, frick. I mean, thou shalt not kill. I mean, what number is that on the list that God gave us? Here's a list of things to do permanently. A permanent list of things to do. Thou shalt not kill. It's number 5, right? I think it's number 5. I'm a doctor of divinity and I don't even know this. It should be number 5. So I thought maybe they just, and then I went and I looked on their rules, because I'm like, why didn't they get back to me? Am I just such a big flippin' disappointment to the Lightworker community that I believe in a military? And I thought, well, maybe they don't understand what a military does, maybe. Are they just randomly putting flip things out there? I mean, are we like the group of elite light workers, which is an insane thought, right? I'm like, why are they? It was like really, I was scratching my head over it, right? So I wrote them and I said, people need military. So, I hope you don't think that I hope you don't think I'm a warmonger or something. That's the last thing I am. I'm all about peace. I hate to fight with people personally, and I hate that whole polarity, duality crap. But, I think everyone should be able to live and let live and have their ideologies without some other ideology being forced down their throat, right? Which is so it's ironic that they're like, well, which ideology in this, So I thought maybe that was it. Well, it turns out it's not it, and they invited me to the community. So I joined, and it's neat. There's like groups that are inside, like there's the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the Starseeds and people that think they might be a fae folk, which is cool. It's really cool. It's like something for everyone in our spiritual community. And it's cool. But I mean, at first I was like, why are they not getting back to me? That they apologized and they said, you know what, we had 2 months worth of delays, and they didn't elaborate, which is professional. And I appreciate that. And like, okay, I was kind of weird about you guys, but in the same time, I'm thinking they rejected me, right? And so I was getting kind of irritated about that. But that was cool. I mean, someone said hi to me immediately, and another person started to write me in a private message, and he was like, very, very sweet person. He's posting the trippiest, coolest music. Every hour hey guys, check out this song. And it's high vibration and nice. It's cool. It's like, wow. It's like Facebook without the cat videos. and the political infighting. In fact, none of that stuff is allowed on this. That's why it's such a great app. But they said something weird to me when I asked if I could post about Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I'm like, I'd like to share my podcast with the spiritual community because it's free and it is a spiritual podcast. And I might possibly be looking for people to be on the show, to be a part of the discussion, because it's not only about me, it's about all of us. And they said the weirdest thing that I'm still like going, huh? And And they said, oh, sure, it's, I said, I've only ever made like $1 a month for the last 2 months. So, I mean, I'm not out to make a buck off of this forum. I'm just trying to share part of who I am. My spiritual stuff, stories and unique ideas. And anyway, they said, well, you can try, but the majority of the people that participate in Star Nations are not technology addicted. And I'm like, this is an app. I'm like, what the hell? Did they just simultaneously judge me as well as put down every stinking person who uses their app, which is, hello, it's technology. God. I'm like, what a frickin' weird thing to say. So sorry, but we wouldn't have had to get an invitation to your damn app if we all had telepathy online right now. Sorry. So sorry. But we use the internet to connect with like-minded people all over the world. And if it wasn't for the internet, we would not have had the ability to meet people from around the world, to learn about new languages, new cultures, new customs, new food. What the hell kind of a thing to say to somebody when you're the administrator of an app? Oh, well, you could try, but people here are not technology addicted. I mean, was that a slam against me for having a podcast in which I'm sharing my thoughts and feelings and ascension news and symptoms every night, along with things that are actually going to be helpful to people? I mean, like, seriously, you want I should just start putting an ad in the paper so people could pay me for my services? I'm, like, so confused by this. I don't think I could be reading that wrong in any way, shape, or form. If you guys think I'm reading it wrong, just please, by all means, shoot me a message, anchor.fm/metaphysical. Anyway, when I get back, I'm going to just tell you guys tonight a really frickin' trippy story about the day that I went to another planet when we get back. Hey, you. Have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions, and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you could get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. You can try, but people here just aren't addicted to technology, says the man holding his cell phone while staring at his computer screen, administering on an app that's attached to the internet. Wait, what? Oh my God. It reminds me, years ago, something happened. What was it? This is reminding me of something. It's on the tip of my brain. It was something to do with a really super conservative religious person. And they were being extremely judgmental to me for using something. And they said, "Oh, I love the environment, so you know." And then they put their car keys in their purse. You know, and they said, if God didn't make it, I'm not going to use that. I can't remember what it was. What was it? They said, if God didn't make it, I'm not going to use it. And I'm like, you're wearing nylon pantyhose and plastic shoes, and you just put your car keys in your purse that was treated with formaldehyde. And you're what now? You're pushing a shopping cart, made of metal and plastic, and you don't do what? I'm confused. Is your back 40 on the other side of the grocery store? And, and she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, is that where you keep your farm fresh vegetables that God created? Because you're going into a grocery store full of stuff that God did not intend, like plastic, I don't know. It just boggles my mind that people could be so strange and unaware of what they're doing while judging people for doing the same exact thing. Like, I am on their app, and then they're judging me for doing something on another app, and does that make me technology addicted? Like, I'm so confused. I mean, are you not technology addicted if you live in a building that was created with technology? Are you not technology addicted if you ride in a car? Or on a bicycle? That's technology. I mean, if you're using a stone frickin' tool in a cave like a damn caveman, is that not technology addicted? I don't know. I mean, it's something that's irking me. It's been irking me for hours. I always get on something like this, maybe I have OCD or I don't know what, maybe I'm autistic or something, is wrong with my brain. But when people say something that makes me scratch my head and I'm like, wait, what, now? If you believe you should live the way nature intended, take off your freaking clothes because you weren't born with them. Walk around naked, Chet. God. Okay, we're getting off of this one. I don't know about you guys, but am I wrong? I'm not technology addicted. Okay, so what do you do for a living? You know what I mean? If you're not technology addicted, that means you don't use money. That's printed on printing presses. It's made with technology. Does that mean you also don't use a toothbrush and you also don't cut your hair? Some people don't. But what? Sorry. I'm always going to drink coffee that's roasted on technology. I'm always going to be addicted to technology. I'm always going to want to have a candy bar once in a while. So that makes me addicted to technology. Then fudge it. I guess I'm a technology addict. How dare I have a podcast and help the whole world of people who wish to be helped or entertained or I don't know what you guys are doing while listening to my show, but I'm glad you're here, and I am going to tell you guys a really bizarre experience that happened to me a number of years ago. And it's weird. I don't know if I'm remembering the future right now and if I think I already told you guys or if I really did already tell you guys. Oh no, I hate when this happens. It's like, I don't know if I'm having a deja vu or if I thought about telling you guys so many times and I was thinking about how to word it. I know I almost did the show like a couple weeks ago, so now I'm like wondering, did I actually mention it? I don't know. But before I get into it, actually, I'm going to tell you guys something weird that happened in the morning. About 7 a.m. I could not sleep all night again, and I was tossing and turning. And I had decided I'm worried about some stuff in my future. And I thought, I talked to you guys about timeline jumping, quantum jumping, being a slider. I don't know if anyone saw that old show, but I always loved that. It was actually sliders. Yeah. And at the same time in Los Angeles, there was a TV commercial for a restaurant. They did the same thing. They would go, Sizzler. And I always thought the Sizzler restaurant should be a spokesperson for sliders because I thought it'd be hilarious. Like, sliders. We'll be right back after these messages from Sizzler. And I'm always thinking, sleazy. Even though they're trying to be sexy. I don't know what the hell I'm on about, so okay. So anyway, in the morning, I told you guys about how to, hop timelines. And a story in which I did it accidentally, and then also, maybe I didn't tell you about timeline collapsing. Yeah, I'll probably bring that up on another day. Let me just throw that out there and then ignore it for a minute. So I decided, though, instead of leaving my body going up and going to the right to see my future, what if I could consciously connect telepathically with myself in the more immediate future, like in January of next year? I had a couple questions about my life. How are things going to go? And I figured if I had the idea to do it here, in this day, in this moment in time, then I'm not that, short-term memory lost, in which I'm going to forget this in January. I'm going to remember I did this and look back from myself in the future going, okay, when is my past self going to talk to me so I can alleviate my own pressure, right? What a cool idea. So I'm going to develop this, and then I'm going to do a show about this later. Well, I'm just totally inventing crazy ways to use telepathy. But the thing is, I just want to ask you about a few things, about, basic crap, like where am I going to be living, and will my twin have already found me, and, what my money situation is going to be like, where are my sons at, what are they doing? And thought that was pretty cool. Some of the information came through. In fact, my future self told me that my youngest son is a model, going to modeling school. And he's got a girlfriend and he's happy. And, he found people his own age, peers his own age. They have similar interests, and he's well-adjusted. And I'm like, oh. So then, hours later, and I actually got up, I started looking online, and I found a bunch of things that were unrelated to that. And then finally, I found a page in which I found the Vogue fashion modeling school, international modeling school for teenagers, to teach teenagers that want to go into fashion industry. My kid doesn't really want to he doesn't care so much about the fashion industry necessarily. He just wants to make money to put himself through college so he could get a degree in quantum mechanics, which is ultra, ultra cool in my book. Of course, I'm a dork. What do I know? But I'm just kidding. It is cool, right? He wants to go into science, and quantum mechanics is really interesting. Hard and interesting and challenging. So, of course, I can support that. So I found the school, and I already started. I set up an appointment this week for him. Already done. Done. Boom. Cool. My future self told me something that I could use now. That was awesome, right? So I was in the middle of this conversation with myself. So said to myself, I says, well, that's what so I'm in the middle of this when all of a sudden this person started hovering over me in my room, and there's no one here, but this person starts hovering over me, and it's this dark shadow figure, shadowy guy, and he starts to put his hand on my shoulder. And I turned around and I looked into where I thought his face might be, because I couldn't really see him. He was just this wispy black shadow, evil feeling, not a demon, but a human that is up to no good. And I pointed my finger at where I thought his head should be, and I said, get the hell out of my room. Leave me the hell alone. Go now before I do something you're going to regret. Right? So I was super firm. And in my mind's eye, I saw his face with oh, she could see me look. And then it swirled like a mini tornado and just freaking left. Went away. It's about 6 hours later. I was leaving my apartment. And as I was leaving my apartment, I saw the neighbor coming out of his door. Instantly recognized that bastard. It was him. It was him. And I'm like, why the hell? He and his girlfriend, wife, I don't know, have been messing with us since the day we got here. And they first came up to me and said, what's wrong with you? You have a hole in your aura. We're spiritual healers. We can help you. You should come to our house. And, and then they're like, I think they said it was for $20. They would give me some treatment or something. I'm all, thanks, but no thanks. I'll heal my own aura. Thank you. I'm a healer too. They're like, well, then why do you have a hole in your aura? And I had just done some serious psychic battle with my former landlord over a very evil deed that I caught him, that he had done in the past. I had a psychic vision of it, which I'm not going to discuss on the show. It's really creepy. But I caught him. And he knew he was caught. And he got angry and he tried to charge me a bunch of money, but then I had photographic evidence. I'm not going to say proof. I'm saying evidence. Now you kind of maybe know what possibly might have happened. But anyway, like literally something that he'd go to jail for the rest of his life for. All of a sudden, he dropped it. Oh, you don't have to pay me a dime. Enjoy your life. In fact, here's some extra for you. And he gave me some kind of candy or something. I don't know. I think he gave me like $5 extra. I paid him for something I broke. Like, it was a light switch I broke. And here to replace a new one. I don't know how much they cost. I couldn't find one that would fit. So, this is for you. Oh, no. Keep your money. Keep your money. It was one of those, keep your money, and I never want to hear from you or talk to you again, and please keep your mouth shut. It was, so I just done psychic battle with somebody, and I won, thank you God. I mean, sometimes I am a warrior, a light warrior, not a light worker. Sometimes I got to take up that arm, those arms, whatever, that doesn't make sense, but, but I just got to put my shield, These people have been screwing with me since the beginning. Which is weird, It's like, what did I ever do to you? And they're the ones that are always fighting, and they have all kinds of drama in their life. It's like, man. And I've done a lot of ho'oponopono on them, and they're still just, that's what they're like, literally, like they're consciously choosing to live like that. They're the ones that their child is screeching and screaming and crying constantly when he's out in the hallway. When he sees me, he runs up to me and he's super fine and calm and happy. He likes being inside my aura, He's an adorable kid, But, so I'm sending him love and light all the time. But I don't know. So anyway, it was him. It was like, why would he be in my room, standing over me, like getting ready to touch my shoulder or inhabit my body? Like, what was he getting ready to do? What the hell was that about? So I said, today was a very weird day. Some extremely good things happened. Some extremely bad things happened. And some weird things happened. I don't know. It was just a head scratcher type of day. A day that boggles the mind. I don't know, guys. It is what it is. So I'm going to tell you this story, and I hope I never told you this one before. I had written it down more recently, but I might have briefly mentioned it before. But when my kids were very little, my youngest one was very little. He was a baby. He was such a young baby that he was in a crib in my bedroom still. Because he was still like about 3 or 4 months old. When he was able to walk, then I moved him in with his sibling, and then they shared a room together. They each had their own, space in their room. But it was very strange. Just this night, just a normal night, like any other night. I felt sleepy a little earlier than normal that night. It's around 11 or 12. And I am just a notorious night owl. When you leave me to my own devices, I will go to bed every day just as the sun is coming up. And that Had nothing to do with the ascension. It's just I have always lived vampires' hours, which is so weird. I've always done that. I mean, it's one reason I can't go work a normal day job. I mean, I have done that, and I end up getting very, very sick, and I have to quit usually. Usually I end up in the hospital and then have to quit. And I don't know. I mean, it's just my natural rhythm is to be up at night. I'm a night person. I'm a night owl. That's it. So this particular night in which this incident happened, it was around midnight, and my husband had been asleep maybe about a half hour. And I remember when I was laying down, I was just starting to lay down, and I had a feeling like an energy vortex was enveloping me, was the feeling. And kind of in my solar plexus and my heart area, I started to feel a vibration. And I asked my holy guardian angel to be with me. I asked Archangel Michael, to come and be at my side and protect my body while I sleep. I asked the angels to surround my house, the north, the east, the south, the west, every point in between, the top, the bottom, and all around. Fill my house with love and light, and the white light healing power of protection surround me, surround my family. And I went to sleep. And in my dream, I woke up and I went over to my sliding glass door, and I stepped out onto my little balcony, which my bedroom was on the 3rd floor. We had like a kind of like a chalet, like a Swiss chalet style home in just north of Paradise, California. So it was like 3 stories. And so I'm on the 3rd floor on this little tiny balcony, and in my dream, but it felt absolutely real, you know how dreams can do. And I saw 2 lights in the sky coming my way, and I knew they were coming for me. I knew they were coming for me, and it was coming down, 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 down. And as it hit the tree line, I could see that it was an old 1968 or 67. It was a 1967 Ford Mustang. And it was coming through the trees, but it wasn't knocking the trees over. And it hit the ground, and I watched as it rolled, and I saw inside the car an old man and an old woman, and they were adorable as could be. A couple, absolutely in love. And he is wearing just like khaki pants and a flannel shirt, a long sleeve flannel button-up shirt with a t-shirt underneath. And she was just wearing like a normal blouse and, just like polyester pants and a sweater. The way that maybe old people that are retired in Northern California would dress. And they crashed into the forest, and they came plowing through the trees. And even though they were knocking some branches over, they were like a different dimension. So they were phasing in and out. And they came to a rolling stop right in front of my house in my backyard. And in a heartbeat, they were on the balcony with me, and they said, "We've come to take you. We promise we'll bring you back tonight within 4 hours of your Earth time." I'm like, okay. I instantly loved them. I instantly loved them. They were the sweet, loving, gentle, kind, compassionate, and wise people. But they were not Earth people. But they looked like they were. Normal humanoids, just like us. Whatever normal is, but you know what I mean. And I'm like, well, where are you taking me? What are we going to do? They're like, we're going to show you something, and we think you're receptive to it. We want you to share this with your world, these ideas from our world to yours. I'm like, well, where's your world? Where are we going? They're like, well, we're going to the Andromeda Galaxy. We're Andromedans. I'm like, oh, cool. Sounds very pleasant and sweet. And you know what? I could use a vacation. Like, but what about my family? I mean, I'm going to come back, right? I'm not going to come back and find that my baby is an old man or something, right? And they're like, oh no, we'll bring you back within, 4 or 5 hours. But you will have stayed with us for a long time, years. I'm like, all right. Wow, you could do that? That's so cool. Sign me up, baby. That's cool technology. Let's go. So they, I don't know what they did, but just in a boop, in a heartbeat of a second, I'm in the Mustang with them. And we started to go towards my house. And I'm like, are we going to go crashing through the neighbor's yard? Is it a long takeoff? And then all of a sudden it turned into a spaceship. And we went straight up like a helicopter, but without the sound. And it was just a round silver disc that we were in suddenly out of nowhere, with little windows all the way around. I can't remember if they're square or round. I can't remember, but I remember that it was just so cool. They said, well, sit back and relax, and we'll be there really shortly. And I don't remember what happened after that. But I do remember waking up kind of, or becoming aware, while I'm walking on a dirt road in a little village full of little very simple adobe houses. And they were made with, like in the windows would be wood, like wood sticks, almost like a guardrail in front of the windows, almost. But I think it wasn't really, I didn't get the feeling it was to keep criminals out or something. I got the feeling actually that there was no crime ever. No violence, no crime. It was a complete peace, love, harmony, beauty, art, surrounded, permeated the dimension that I was in, which was not the third dimension. It was not a third density world. It was an interdimensional, multidimensional planet within the physical Andromeda Galaxy. So I was in my yard one minute, the next minute I'm walking down the street in Andromeda, in the Andromeda Galaxy. I don't even know the name of the planet. I don't think that's what it was. But they called themselves Andromedans. And I think that was for my benefit, because we called that galaxy Andromeda, which is a Greek name. So, I mean, why would they call that, call it that themselves? It doesn't make sense. So we're walking down the street, and they said, so this is our house. It was like at the end of a cul-de-sac. And they said, this is our house. You're welcome to visit every day if you want. We're going to come and talk to you, and we're going to teach you every part of our way of life in our world, in our village. and we're going to give you some ideas that we want you to take back. We feel that it's necessary and important for humanity to hear the ideas, even if they don't agree with them or they don't like them. But just to plant a seed, to see what takes root, what takes hold. And I'm like, okay, fair enough, sure. And they said, so this is your house. And they gave me a house. And I'm like, well, do I have to get a job or, pay for it? And they're like, oh, no, we don't do anything like that here. We don't have money. We barter. But even if someone doesn't have anything good to give, it will eventually come back around, so it's not a problem. Well, I'm liking this world already. This is cool. So I went into my little place, and I had a kitchen where I could cook, and I think there was like a place where you could go and you bring whatever you have, and it's like a farmer's market, but you get whatever vegetables you want, and you give love or a hug or beads or a bauble or art or whatever you have, you give to the person who gave you the vegetables. And I do kind of remember that the people that brought me there, they told me that in the village, everybody takes turns manning the booths of the farmer's market. And everyone takes turns in the community garden. Everybody takes turns doing every part of what their society needs to maintain a decorum of their society. So their vegetables are very similar to ours. They were very tasty, very good. Their fruits were real strange looking, really delicious. It felt physical that I was eating when I ate there. And I lived there alone and observed and talked to people. And for the most part, they knew that I was just there to observe. So for the most part, they kind of let me go on about my day and about my way. They didn't avoid me. They were very nice, but they weren't leery at all. They were just grateful that I was there. Now looking back, it might have been that they have done this to more than one person, more than one earthling, more than earthlings, possibly. That this is kind of like an ambassadorship that you get chosen for, right? I'm sure if you try to contact them by telepathy, they'll probably come and get you. Very sweet people. And I lived there for 30 years. I don't remember most of it, but I know that I lived there for a long, long time, and I didn't age at all. Just barely, a little bit, not a lot. And when I came back, I was normal again. But the couple, they had come to get me, and now I can't remember their names. I think their names were Pa and Ka, but I'm not sure about that at all, to be honest. Or Pakao, something like that. Pakao and Palil, and Ka and Pa, I think, were the four people. I don't know. It's very strange. Anyway, they brought me over to their house one day, and they said, we are more than a couple. There's 4 of us living here in the house. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You're roommates. They're like, no, we're in a marriage. I'm like, you're in a marriage? They said, yeah, it's a legally binding contract, but not really legal. It's not legal like in your world. It's more like our souls are in legal agreement. It's a way that you would understand, they said. It's like we had a ceremony and we invited the community, our friends and families, and we had a commitment ceremony, like a marriage, among the 4 of us. I'm like, so people in your world don't get married just 2 people only? They said, well, sometimes that happens, but they quickly look for another couple to be married to. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm listening. And they said, so we fall in love 4 at a time. 2 people fall in love, and we go find 2 more people, and we all see our commonalities, and we try to fall in love 4 at a time. And they said it could be any mix, all male, all female, or 2 males, 2 females, or whatever mix makes sense for the people involved, the individuals. And everything was accepted and loved in this society. But they said we are in the way of thinking that if 2 people are in love and they're in a marriage and they're together for 20 or 30 or 40 years or cycles around your main star or sun, whatever you want to call it. But if 2 people are together for a very long time and one dies or consciously decides to leave their body and they're gone, then the one person is left behind, and it makes everybody pity them and feel sorry for them. And it makes them sad and lonely, and they feel sorry for themselves. And especially if they've been together more than 20 years, they have a tendency to never want to be with another person again, because how could they ever replace that which was lost? They can't. So they said that they try to fall in love 4 at a time, because if they lose one, then the other 2 help the one that was left behind find another one to replace that person. Even though the person can never be replaced, love can happen and life can move on. And it makes it a lot less sad. They said, no, every, quadruple, I guess, wouldn't be a couple. Well, I don't know what they didn't call it, like a quatrain, or they didn't really tell me what that, or maybe they did, and I don't remember. But they said, every grouping, or marital group, I don't know, it's like celebrated in the community. That's just how they do it. And they never did it like 6 people together. It was only 4. But they said that they're all different. Like sometimes their sexuality is shared only between 2 people and then the other 2 people. And they don't mix it up. And sometimes they do mix it up, depending on the individuals. But none of it is frowned upon. And all of it is celebrated, because love is love is love is love is love is love in their community, in their world. As long as we're generating love, everybody's happy. Because love is the grandest experience that any life form can partake in, they told me. So it was a lot for me to, pull in, and I'm like, well, you want me to be here for 30 years? Like, should I start looking for my 3 people or my 3 soulmates? Like, what happens here in a situation like this? They said, well, you are an outsider, so you don't have to participate with anything or anyone, but you are going to be here a while. So it's up to you. Maybe you do want to take a husband. Like, but I got a husband back on Earth. I have a husband and 2 kids. Like, I can't cheat on my guy. They're like, as you wish. We're not going to judge you. But what you do on your world and what you do on our world, they're 2 separate worlds. They're two separate dimensions. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even have sex with people in my dreams. You know, like I've never been able to do that. It boggles my mind that people can actually go through with it in their dreams. God, I never could do that. You know, I'm just like, in some ways I'm very conservative. In other ways I'm very liberal. I know I'm a conundrum. I'm aware of it. But I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. We're going to have to see about that. And I was faithful to my husband for the first 5 or 6 years. But I mean, I lived there 30 years. 20 or 30 years. It might have been 20. But I was baffled by this. It was so simple and beautiful. We didn't have electricity. We lived our life according to the rhythm of the sun. And everything was a cause for celebration in this world. A new flower is born, and it was just as happy and joyous as if a newborn baby was born. When a new flower opened up, you know, like if they planted a plant and the first bud came shooting up and it opened up, everyone in the village would go running to look at it. And they would thank God with the absolute most amount of gratitude that they could have in their hearts, that they got to experience such beauty and joy, and that they got to do it together as a group, and they all loved each other so much. I was never in the presence of so much great love on earth as I was when I lived in Andromeda. I met a man there, and I loved him. Fell in love with him. After about 5 years, we became friends. We talked for about a year before we ever even, I don't even know if we did sleep together. I don't think we did. I mean, I think he slept in my room with his arms around me, but I don't think physically we did. I don't think I did that. I might have, but I don't remember it. And after about 6 or 7 years, I completely forgot Earth. I forgot my kids. I forgot my husband. I forgot my family. I forgot my mother. I forgot all of it. And I just lived on Andromeda for 30 years. It was such a weird, it was like I assimilated into their culture. After a while, I fit in. I was wearing very plain tan colored robes like they were, like a monk. Very simple clothing. Nobody had labels. There was no factories. There were no companies. Nobody worked outside of just, you know, building stuff for the community or making furniture for people or growing food. Money didn't really exist. Nobody really cared about getting one up on anyone else. Nobody cared about fighting. I didn't witness a single fight in 30 years in the whole community, in the whole little village that I was in. It was about 330 to 360 people in this village. And not one fight ever. The only slightly negative emotion was when someone decided consciously to leave their body, or, you know, they had had enough and they were ready. And their bodies would grow old, but it took a long time, like hundreds of years or something. So it was a very sad and somber occasion. But they would have a celebration for the person that moved on, and celebrated them and always welcomed them back if they wanted to reincarnate. And they loved them, and they could still telepath with the person, of course. But after the celebration, they would have a somber time to allow for the grieving process of the one left behind. And this was like they would play music. Sometimes they would come with instruments and they would play music, or they would sing gently and in lower keys. And they would try to match the vibration of the person, and eventually and gently they would raise the vibration of what they were doing to raise the person up. And they very gently lifted them up into happiness using sound and color and art and beauty and joy and love. And eventually dancing. The dancing would always start off really slow. A lot of hugs. Until the person was ready to dance. In celebration again. And after a traditional period of time, maybe 3 months or so, they would open themselves up again to finding a fourth person to join their quadruple, their quatrain, their marital quatrain. And they were never ever alone. They never had one moment in which they were alone in their home. Because in this community, in this culture in Andromeda, that was a very sad concept. I mean, think about in our culture how sad that is. Like, people that were married 40, 50 years, they lose a husband and they live alone until they die. And sometimes they're not even found for weeks. I told them that this happens on my world, and they all got very scared. Like, are you kidding me? That is horrible. They're like, we're not judging you. It's just that for us is beyond tragedy. And I told them that people that are old are not revered the way they ought to be. They're not loved or taken care of. And they're like, well, why don't they just consciously disconnect and leave? I'm like, we don't know how to do that. We don't have the same ideas and technology as you. They said, you have to tell your people. It's very crazy stuff, right? Very crazy, trippy stuff. So I went to a wedding. I saw a wedding performed. It was the 4 people standing together in like a box formation, like a square. And the 2 people that were marrying each other, and the other 2 people are marrying each other. We kiss each other at the time at which they were married, when their souls reached the highest form of pure love, and they reached what they called soul union. And they would kiss, and they would hug, and then they would turn to each other, and the men could kiss the men, and the women could kiss the women, and no one thought anything of it. It wasn't like ooh, is he secretly gay? Ooh, there was none of that. Because love is love is love is love, and you're in a body, and that doesn't matter what that body is. It's just a body. You're your soul. You are love. You are pure energy. You are pure love. You are literally light. You are stardust. You're not your physical body, no matter who you are, where you are located on the planet, in the galaxy, in the universe, or in any of the universes, or in any of the timelines, or in any of the dimensions. You are just love and light, and you're part of God. That's all. And that's what they wanted to stress to me, to take back, to tell all of you guys. So we, oh God, one day I got a knock on the door. And they said, we're going to leave tomorrow. I'm like, where are you guys going? They're like, well, we, meaning you and us, we're going to go back and get our spaceship and we're going to take you. It was funny because they had spaceship, but they didn't have technology that you could see. You know, no one really, there was no technology addicts there. That's hilarious. Wow, that's so funny, isn't it? I mean, they had the technology, but they didn't have it out. They preferred a very natural world. And sometimes people paint their houses like an olive green or a deep maroon red. Very nice. Sometimes there were blues. Sometimes people paint art on their walls. And art on there. They did have stained glass windows that were beautiful. People painted on their windows. And they could change it out real quick, you know, and paint it again. Have another, you know, have a seasonal drawing that they do or different things. It was very artistic, a lot of art. Music, joy, art. That's all it was about. It was an art and music community. But they told me, you are going to go home tomorrow to your husband and your kids. And I'm like, what? What? No, but I'm in love with this guy, this man I've been seeing. I've been seeing him for like 15 years. Or 20 years. But it went really quick. I think the rotations were not as long as our 365 days. I think it maybe might have been 40 days or something. I don't know. I don't think it was as long. It didn't seem like it, but at the same time, I lived a full lifetime there. So the next day he came to my door and he brought me a bouquet of flowers. And we kissed and we hugged and cried in each other's arms. And he said he was so happy he got to meet an Earthling he always had wanted to. And I was like, I'm so glad I got to meet Andromeda, and I always wanted to. And I got to experience a higher octave of love that was free of anything manipulative or backstabbing or fighting. It was just pure. And it was real. And it was filled with joy and without pretension. So I got back in the saucer and we crash landed through the forest again and then the old Mustang. And I thought it was hilarious how they're able to transform their clothes and everything. I'm like, you know, you guys aren't getting the fact that you should be driving on the road if you want to really fit in. They're like, oh yeah, we didn't think about that. Well, we don't have to. We're in a different dimension. I'm like, yeah, but you're worried about the car and your clothes. Like, oh, it's just kind of fun. We like Earth stuff. It's fun. We love Mustangs and flannel shirts. I'm like, yeah, me too. It's pretty cool. And they dropped me off. And they dropped me off back on my balcony, and they hugged me and through a lot of tears. We said our goodbyes. They said, maybe someday we'll see you again. And that was the moment I realized how blue their eyes were. They were so blue, so beautiful. They were very incredible people. And it was almost like I was saying goodbye to my grandma and my grandpa, you know? It was a very beautiful It was almost like a reunion, and I'm like, I'm going to miss you. I just lived a whole lifetime with you guys. You really are my family now. They said, we'll probably see you again. And they kissed me on the cheek, and they hugged me again, and they got back in their spaceship, which, you know, the Mustang, which quickly turned into a circular disc silver spaceship with white lights all around the edges. Because you could see the light from inside shining outward, and it was, you know, their windows. And it just very silently took off straight upward, and then boom, streak across the sky, and just, poof, it was out. And that was it. And I sat up quickly in bed, looked around like, holy crap. And I looked at my husband and I didn't recognize him. And I looked at my baby and I'm like, wait, what? I have kids, I have a husband. And I just was like, wait a minute. And it took me like 45 minutes to get my bearings. I'm like, wait a minute. And I went, I looked at the calendar. I looked at everything. I went to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. Whoa. And I felt like I'd been gone 30 years. It was so strange. My baby started to cry. It was about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And I went and I picked him up and held him in my arms and I smelled his head. And babies have a special scent that's just really beautiful. Very sweet. He smelled like candy. And I just smelled his cotton candy hair and hugged him and told him I loved him. And then my love for him started flooding back. And then the density started flooding back and my body felt heavier. And that was my Andromeda experience, guys. Only you can decide if it's real or not. For me, it was very, very real. But also, very strange. I don't know. I hope this one was an entertaining and interesting one for you. Funny how the technology addict thing tied into it. I'm like, why did that happen? And now I know why that happened. That's why. So anyway, I love you guys with all my heart, my mind, my body, my soul. But only my astral body. No, that's not right. Ethereal body? I don't know. Anyway, I'm signing off now with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.